Repressed emotion? Repressed emotions are an integral part of our daily lives, whether we like to admit it or not. We've all been there, feeling a certain way but not quite sure why, or pushing away a thought that makes us uncomfortable. But have you ever stopped to think about what's really going on beneath the surface? These emotions don't just disappear because we ignore them. Instead, they linger, hidden just below our awareness, quietly influencing our behavior, decisions, and physical health. Repressed emotions can affect us in so many ways, often manifesting as anxiety, depression, or difficulty in our relationships. For example, maybe you find yourself constantly feeling anxious in social situations, but you can't quite put your finger on why. Or perhaps you've noticed patterns of self-sabotage in your relationships, but you're not sure what's driving them. The truth is, repressed emotions can be incredibly damaging to our mental health if left unchecked. In fact, studies have shown that repressed emotions can even lead to physical health problems like digestive issues, chronic pain, or sleep disorders. When we push away our emotions, we're not just affecting our minds, we're also affecting our bodies. This connection between mind and body is something many of us overlook, but the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. And this disconnect can lead to a constant sense of unease, tension, or fatigue that we can't quite explain. The hidden toll. The impact of repressed emotions can be felt in many areas of our lives, from our relationships to our work performance. When we're carrying around hidden emotional baggage, it's hard to show up fully in our daily lives. We might struggle to stay motivated or find ourselves constantly feeling drained. And the worst part is, we often don't even realize what's causing these problems. We might blame ourselves or our circumstances without ever stopping to think about the emotional root of the issue. Imagine a coiled spring being pushed down again and again. Eventually, that tension needs to go somewhere, and for many of us, it finds release in unhealthy behaviors like anger outbursts, emotional withdrawal, overworking, or even addiction. Where do repressed emotions come from? So, what can we do about it? The first step is to acknowledge that repressed emotions are a real problem and that they're worth exploring. When we take the time to tune into our emotions, we might be surprised at what we discover. Maybe we'll find that our anxiety is connected to a deep-seated fear of failure, or that our self-sabotaging tendencies are rooted in a lack of self-worth. But how do these repressed emotions originate in the first place? The truth is, it's often a complex interplay of factors, including our upbringing, past experiences, and current environment. Maybe we were taught to suppress our emotions as children. We might have heard phrases like, don't cry, or be strong, or get over it. Over time, we learn that expressing certain feelings isn't safe or isn't acceptable. In other cases, traumatic experiences can cause us to bury emotions so deeply that we're no longer consciously aware of them. This is especially true for people who've experienced emotional neglect, abuse, or significant loss. Repressing emotions becomes a survival mechanism, but what once helped us cope can later become a barrier to healing. How repressed emotions show up in the body. Now let's explore how these emotions show up in the body, because this is where things get really interesting. Our bodies are incredibly intelligent, and they often try to communicate with us through physical symptoms or behavioral patterns. For instance, maybe you get a stomachache every time you have to give a presentation at work. Or maybe you find yourself clenching your jaw or grinding your teeth without even realizing it. These physical responses are often linked to emotional tension. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, author of The Body Keeps the Score, emphasizes that unresolved emotional trauma can get stuck in the body, manifesting as pain, illness, or chronic tension. In his research, he's shown how traditional talk therapy isn't always enough, because sometimes healing also needs to involve the body. So, if you've ever had an unexplained physical symptom that no doctor could quite figure out, it might be worth asking, what emotions am I not dealing with? Practical ways to start healing. And what can you actually do to start processing and releasing repressed emotions? One powerful tool is journaling. This simple act of writing down your thoughts without judgment or censorship can help uncover hidden feelings. Try asking yourself questions like, what am I avoiding? Or, what emotion am I afraid to feel right now? The key is honesty. Another approach is body-based therapy, like somatic experiencing, breathwork, or even yoga. These practices can help release stored tension and reconnect you to the messages your body is trying to send you. You might also consider working with a therapist or counselor, especially if you suspect your emotional repression is tied to trauma. And then there's mindfulness. Just learning to sit with your emotions without trying to fix them or make them go away is a transformative practice. Emotions are not dangerous, they're information. They tell us what matters, what hurts, what needs attention. A personal reflection. As I reflect on my own life, I realize that acknowledging and addressing my repressed emotions has been a game changer. I used to struggle with anxiety and depression, and for years I thought that was just how I was wired. But when I started to explore the emotional root of those issues, I began to heal in ways I never thought possible. It wasn't easy. There were tears, uncomfortable realizations, and moments where I wanted to quit. But through that discomfort came growth. I started to understand myself on a deeper level. I began to forgive myself, and I became more present in my relationships and more connected to who I truly am. Final thoughts. The importance of recognizing repressed emotions can't be overstated. When we acknowledge and address these hidden emotions, we open ourselves up to a whole new level of healing and growth. We start to show up more fully in our lives. We begin to build stronger, more authentic relationships, not just with others, but with ourselves. So today, I invite you to take that first step.